My practice is built with people that doctors couldn't help. I'm usually the person of last resort. And this is the story of one man and what happened when I found the secret that was hiding inside of his body. So he came to me one day, unable to walk. He was referred in to actually by a physician. He had a cane, he had a walker. He had some stairs to walk up to my office, and they were brutal for him. But he gripped the handrail, he moved slowly, he got up one step at a time. My office was the furthest down the hall. It was the quietest space. I knew I needed that silence. We worked together for about 6 months. Now, in 3 months, something shifted. We normally get results a whole lot quicker in my office, but if it's a hard case, one that they've been to 12 doctors beforehand, there's a little more time that need to be taken. And that's perfectly fine, because layer after layer sometimes have to be unraveled, released, let loose of, so that they can get down to where they need to get with the core. So, and 3 months working together, something shifted, and it shifted enough that had a lot of clarity of movement in it, and he could walk. I mean by clarity of movement, within everyone who's not been able to walk for a while, there is like a rewire thing that has to go on, and they have to have clarity of how their body is moving and be aware of all their circumstances, all the situations, everywhere they find themselves, because they have to keep walking no matter what emotional things are going on, inside or outside. But he could walk. Then he couldn't. He always seemed to walk for a day or two after our session, and then something would always hit him. Whatever that was, he couldn't lay a finger on it, but he knew that he just couldn't walk again. He couldn't wait to get back in. So his signals would lock up neurologically. His nerves would just refuse to work. So his legs wouldn't lift. It was a tough sight to watch, especially since I had went through 5 years of not walking myself. So it was really hitting home for me. Every week this happened, but he and I both knew that we wanted to keep moving on this. I knew he could walk. He knew he could walk. So we just kept going. We're both very determined souls. And as there's a lot of things that he released, he was getting healthier and healthier each and every moment. But we were ultimately working on him being able to walk. And oftentimes the body will give up a lot of other information because it needs to. And sometimes it just wants to because it's tired of holding it as you search for maybe a really dark or a really heavy pattern or block that you need to release and get rid of. We kept going. We kept believing, and we kept seeing signals and watching the movement lock and then watching it unlock, and we knew that cycle had to stop. Now, I'm usually very neutral with all my clients, but I had some strong emotions running through me that this could be relieved, that he could walk again. And I was determined to find the cause. I did let my physical determination override my spiritual direction a little bit. I hate to admit that out loud, but in this case I did. In one session, I went so deep into his abdomen in a way I'd never gone before. My hand just melted right through it. This was a large man. It felt like my fingers were touching his spine, actually touching right through his spine. And I know that's not physically possible, but that seemed to be what was happening. He and I both watched it, experienced that, and he kept sitting in the chair like he was part of the chair. And I just kept going deeper and deeper into places I've never been before. And the multiple places I was, the multiple selves, the multiple ways, the multiple dimensions were easily moved through once I get into a place where he quit fighting and I quit questioning. I just started following the flow. The universe was with me. I was so determined to have this happen, and he was so compliant at that point. It was fantastic. Then I realized the amount of strength that I had in my hands was incredibly greater than any of the strength that I'd ever had with the spiritual energy using my hands. And I realized that I went past the point because I was so very determined to have this guy walk, or at least find the source of what was stopping that. It felt like the time for me. I asked him, do you want me to continue? He said with a big, strong yes. So I went deeper. And then I found another opening, and this opening was fantastic because it brought me right to the place where he found what he was consciously refusing to face. And it was time to bring it forth. All the things were in the right order. Right time, right place. We were there. I can't say I was in shock because I was in a very spiritual place with this experience at this point. I can't say something greater than any human experience that I had experienced before as far as a feeling was happening to me. There's no words to explain it. And he said the same thing. There was nothing that he could have used as far as words to describe it. What I found in that space was a secret. His personal secret that only he knew. He'd been hiding it every day, and he'd been deep into this every day, pushing it down farther and farther into every cell in his whole system. At this moment, he knew I found something, and I had to figure out a way to tell him. He looked in my eyes, I looked in his eyes, and I just said it. He married the wrong woman, and boy, did he continue to cry. He told me a story about another love, a misunderstanding, someone he still loved, but someone he couldn't manage to just put together the relationship that he wanted. So he pulled his life into something new. He's got a current wife. They could build together. He could have a future with her. They were building a beautiful business. They had a beautiful home, but there were costs. In that, staying with her, the wrong woman, his disability was getting more and more traumatic, not less. His disability, all the trauma that he had stored in his body. They had plans of a future, children, a big life with big hearts. But his current wife told me that he was a big enough child to take care of every day, so there was no way that she could ever take care of children and him as well. And internally, he mourned, they mourned. His other love was gone. His current love was challenged with his decision. The dream of children and so much of their life was just gone. So every single day he got up and he hammered through it. He knew that his destiny was writing somewhere outside of where he lived physically, outside of his mind, his body, and his spirit, outside of his physicality. He was walking through life while carrying a secret that was just dragging him down. But then I watched him, he stood up very proudly. He stood up relieved. I could see it in his body, the shift, the release. And at that moment, his wife popped into the office, and she was so excited. She said, "Did you walk?" And she's insinuating like a real walk. "Can you actually walk?" And he did. He walked out of my office. He ran down the hall. He ran down the 4 stairs. He ran outside my door. He ran down the sidewalk. He even ran around his car over and over again. I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't record it. I wanted to capture that joy forever, but that freedom radiating from his soul, I missed it. I didn't get it, but he certainly did. We all got to see it. My husband was there. There were neighbors outside watching, his wife, himself. We were all just elated. It was a good moment. It was a great moment. It was a freeing moment. What I saw was this man who finally gave himself permission to let go of the secret that he was hiding, that let him be free. He never realized what that secret was doing to torture him. He had no clue. He did come back one more time to see me, and he was walking very well. It was a nice final appointment. And it was a final appointment because he had to make a choice. The secret was out. It was open for him to look at. The imprint was that he could walk. And the rest of his marriage, his life, his choice of wife, everything was up for grabs now. He can face his future with whatever direction he wants. I don't know if he's still walking today or not, but I really hope he chose to let himself keep walking. I wish him well. If anything in this story happened to be of interest to you, a curiosity, or something that you might want to work on yourself, please subscribe. And there is a QR code available for those who would like to meet with me one-on-one. I do have 15-minute consultations that are free to see if we'd be a good fit to work with each other. And if we are, we'll see where to take it from there. Please share this story with a friend. Sometimes people are hiding secrets that really can harm them, really are debilitating. And there's always a good chance for some freedom. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I hope to see you again on the next video.